So as we continue our conversations about the comprehensive plan that I have presented for 4 years now, that could help with the homeless crisis in the city. Now, I just want to be really clear. This isn't one thing that we need to do. We need to be doing all of these things simultaneously. We need to be putting a lot of different efforts into action. And right now, this is a huge component. Maintaining the shelters, building transitional housing, and improving quality and livability. So, as I told you, I was glad to hear Scott Spradling talking in the MUR interview about how he and I had discussed and how I put forward in the plan for years now that we need to bring all the entities together to have conversations about where things are working, where they're not working, what are best practices, and where are the gaps that we need to fill in for services. And this is something that I heard the homeless director just speak to, or I read it in an article that she was speaking to what we need to do here. And that is to start looking at buildings that are empty and repurpose them. So I have written here, maintain the condition and cleanliness of the shelters to a high standard. That's important because people don't want to go into the shelters and use them because they don't think that they're safe, they're not clean, there are bed bugs, the lift often doesn't work, and people don't feel safe in there. There's an ongoing bed bug issue, and there are ongoing safety issues. Oh, we're being visited. Hello, hi McGonagall. So that's really important that we have staff in there that the people trust enough to go in, because that's where we need to have services for people. If they're not going in to get services, then we're not helping them out. We need to ensure the safety of many of our homeless do not feel safe in the shelters because of previous abuse, and this can't be tolerated. We need to provide valuable point of care assistance to the population in shelters to immediately move them to transitional housing. This is a key point in the process for getting folks back on their feet. We don't have much transitional housing here, and we currently have a mayor and a board that push back on sober homes. We need to have transitional housing when people get out of rehab, when they get out of the hospital, when they get out of having mental health treatment, where they can go and they have a continuum of care until they're able to be independent. Every one of these steps is towards independence. We know not every single person is going to get there, but that should be the goal for every person. That should be what we're aiming for. Operate transitional homes with the idea of using resident success stories to encourage those on the streets and in encampments to start the upward process of homelessness. For many who are homeless, just starting the process of building back to self-sufficiency can seem daunting, but the positive stories from others can be motivating. Yeah, peer-to-peer support is really, really important, especially with the success stories. And we need to be lowering housing costs, improving the housing market for lower incomes. The first thing we need to do is have a board in there that actually respects the taxpayer and stops increasing property taxes. Every time the property taxes increase, the cost of running an apartment building increases, and that cost is passed down to the people that are renting, are most vulnerable. And that's why we're seeing rent so high. It's a direct correlation to the property tax increases that we've been seeing and the sewer rates that we've been seeing an increase in. We need to incentivize home buyers to purchase and occupy multifamily homes. This is important because homeowners, building owners, apartment owners that live in the property take better care of the property, and they have better knowledge about what's happening in their buildings. Provide tax incentives for builders to build multifamily homes and apartment buildings. Remove unnecessary regulations that hinder renovation or construction of homes that could be used for transitional housing, low-income housing, or owner-occupied family homes. Create private-public partnerships with smaller hotels to incentivize them to convert their use to single apartments/condos and to recreate some empty spaces. This model has worked successfully in New Mexico and some other parts of the country. So I have researched all parts of this. These aren't my ideas necessarily. Some of them I have just seen what are best practices elsewhere and what is actually working, because everyone can have a great idea, but putting a great idea into practice isn't always successful. So we want to make sure that we're using taxpayer money efficiently and effectively. We want to make sure that we're using our people that are working on the streets with the homeless efficiently and effectively. And we want to make sure that we actually have positive outcomes. That's the goal for all of this, right? To have positive outcomes, so that these people end up being back on their feet and we have a city that's back on its feet. So I would love to talk about this with you. We can have another FaceTime. That would be fun with all of you. Another Facebook Live and discuss these, and I will put up a date for that. But right now, I'll just leave these here with you so that you can review them, and then you can come back to me and tell me what you agree with, what you don't agree with, what your thoughts are, and if you think that you have a better solution, because I'm always willing to listen to you.